from Yokosuka, Japan. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. It's actually quite warm for a fall day. And I wanted to talk a little bit about some design principles. If you don't know me, I'm Kim Godwin, and I'm a freelance TTRPG comic and horror writer. I live in Japan, so it makes stuff like this kind of cool. So recently, this week, they came from the Cyclops' cave. Backer PDF was released to backers of the project. So that is a bit of joy for me. One of the things I wrote while I was in graduate school during COVID, I actually wrote the character archetypes and the tropes. So it was really cool to figure out how those characters worked, what their powers were, and how you could play them in game. Um, every game I've worked on with Onyx Path, I have written on something different every time. When I worked on Classifies, it was skills and attributes. I wrote a bunch of stunts, coming up with basic abilities and how they can be comboed, examples of such combinations. For Forgotten and Forbidden Orders, for Mage the Ascension, I wrote a craft. So it was like coming up with in-character history, powers, abilities, gifts, different ways of using magic, and how those would hook into a normal traditions game. For Cyclops' Cave, of course, I wrote archetypes and the tropes for that. When I worked on Aether, I wrote the societies, and I also wrote the things for the Magogs, at least as the fluff descriptions of them and how you could play them in game. So when it comes to something like The World Below, where all of a sudden my word count grows by a lot, and it's a brand new game, from Onyx Path. We'd never before done our own original fantasy game. It was really a joy. Leith and I were both given the chapters to be like, okay, who wants to work on what? And Leith decided he was going, between Leith and I, Leith had all these cool ideas for sorceries, so he took on sorceries and I took on everything else. It's like, okay, well, with the word count split between the two of us, it would make the most sense if one of us focused on one thing and one of us focused on the other. It was like, Leith, you can focus on sorceries, I'll go work on the talents and powers, and off we went. And that was pretty interesting because it's like for the talents I was emulating how we wrote edges for and then I was also looking at kind of almost tropish type of things that are always on, unless otherwise specified, or like once per session or something like that for the powers. So I had to really dig into that and figure out what I wanted to do. And then going into that, it's like, well, what are the things that would help us in a post-apocalyptic subterranean survival game? Well, things for movement, things for crafting materials out of things, and things for sustainment. How do you survive? How well do you are you able to create or find things from the world to use? So I thought about those things and incorporated them into that, and then we start getting into how can you adapt to better suit your environment to survive and that sort of thing. So I had all kinds of weird stuff that we came up with, and because of how alien the dialectics could get, I had a lot of freedom. So I'll talk a little bit more about some of my favorite abilities here in a minute once I get out of this habit. Okay, it's just me, the crows, and the Seahawks, and there's some sort of concert playing across the park. So when I was thinking of creating some of the talents, I've said before that my favorite ones to come up with were the Myceli, the fungus people, and the guild, the kitchen. And there's a story behind that. So when I was on the ship, when I was last here 7 years ago, I was running D&D 5th edition for the guys on the ship. And one of the guys had never role-played before, never played D&D before, and he really wanted to play this cool drow alchemist. And he liked just gathering random shit, almost quite literally, and trying to brew it into a potion. And it's like, well, the 5th edition rules don't really provide for that, but we're going to do it anyway. We're just going to let him do it because he's having fun with it. And so he would combine all of these weird things together to make potions to heal or whatever. And we're like, well, he was like, wouldn't it be cool if, some of the times when I make this potion, it does the thing I want, but then it does something else, right? I know what it would do. So one of the people was like, can you make like a counter table? I was like, yeah, let's do that. So when I was thinking about the kitchen, I was thinking of my dear friend Scooter and his crazy drow. We had one game where everyone came over to the house and we were drinking, and he brought all these cool little bottles and just mixing things together into these crazy strong cocktails, and just doing weird stuff like that. So it's like, why is this cocktail crunchy? It's like, don't worry about it. And it's like, I think I want to worry about it, but it was a good night. Playing D&D, playing any role-playing game while heavily intoxicated and having a place to stay, being safe about it is a good thing. But we were having fun on the ship without any alcohol too. But the concept was sound. And so when I started thinking about I should get taken out by a crow or they're gonna try to steal my phone. It's gonna be hilarious. But so I thought about that. So what's in the pot? Or don't in the pot? And several of the other powers laid down where it's like it does the thing you want, but it does something more constitution check. That's dedicated. All those things are made with my friend Scooter in mind. It was a cool thing that we did that he didn't play, and I was glad I was able to enable. And I hope that when you play the world below and you decide that you're going to play someone from the kitchen, you think of that. What weird stuff could I do to make this fun? To make myself stand out. Just the idea is even if it's a dark survival game, you're there to have fun. Have fun with it. You might be doomed. You might be having an existential crisis of faith. There might be something trying to eat you, but you should have fun with it. Maybe when you make this potion out of questionable substances, it makes you strong, but it also makes you a little bit loopy. Who knows?